Þá komið að fyrsta fyrirlesara dagsins. Við erum svo heppin að hafa hér með okkur Skytte, sem forstjóri Erhvervsskolernes Forlag í Danmörku. Og hans erindi ber yfirskriftina Does digitizing bring radical changes to learning? It is a special honor for us here today, Mr. Skytte. Thank you for coming to Iceland to be with us.
Thank you for your
Please.
invitation. Yes, and I've looked very much forward to this, and I'm excited to meet you because I'm a very competitive person, and I like to benchmark, and I am excited to see whether you are in front of Denmark on the digital wave regarding learning. I have been a couple of times on Faroe Island, and I think it's more or less the same kind of people who has been on some conferences we have had there, and I've done some investigations up there, asking some questions. I won't do that today, but we have already talked about it this morning, where we had a meeting at Iðnmennt. Where are you regarding digitizing in the learning environment? And I can tell you one thing, I've been so much around in Denmark on many schools that everyone thinks all the others are so far ahead, but they are not. So that's a point. So don't worry. I think we are probably more or less the same place what that regards. I have been working within vocational training for more than 20 years. Actually, all my working life has been in schools, and later on I were in the ministry, the education ministry, working with digitizing there. Since 8 years ago, I went to the company where I work now, and I was hired in to digitize what was on the backlist. 1,200 titles were at that time, books, and we have tried on several different angles to bring our knowledge into the schools and helping them getting digitized. So we have a broader perspective than just bringing our content to life, digitized. We try to help the schools gain from a variety of possibilities digitizing. And I will talk a little bit about that. If I can find my presentation. Ah, yeah. It's okay. Thank you. That's the most funny part when someone talk about digitizing. He don't know how to do it. Well, let's start here. Digitizing is such a big question. It has so many perspectives. There is a lot of answers, and I'm not sure I can bring you the answer on this question. I hope I can bring you some perspectives.
Does it come up on the screen?
On digitizing, and then on the present.
Sorry?
Yeah. So, should be there. Okay. The question, I think there is two main reasons for doing this. The one is kind of, you can say, human right angle on this digitizing. As a father of two teenage kids, I know this is true. When they wake up every morning, before they even consider if they are hungry or they want to go to the toilet or all this basic, what is normally the physiological needs. They look at their telephone, see whether the first lecture at the school is cancelled, because then they can take a nap and they don't have to start even considering getting starved yet. So this is really working for them. Wi-Fi is just so important. They need to be on here, there, and everywhere. So if they couldn't be online when they enter the school, they will really be intimidated. It's so important today. It's more or less like water and food for young people. So if you don't have a Wi-Fi on your schools working, where they can connect with what they have in their pockets, maybe it's close to if you don't have water in the taps. I would say that. And it's getting even more important as time goes. So that's one point. That's why we have to deal with this. We can't just avoid it. It's there, and we should take it and grab some of all the benefits from it. Another answer, another good reason for taking this is there is really something to gain from. We can make learning, enhanced learning, if we take digital into it, and we can refreshen our didactic. That's the main reason we get a new toolbox for the didactic, for the way we think learning. And I did only understand one thing from the minister, and it was Khan's Academy. And that's a very progressive way to consider what digitizing can do to the learning environment. It can actually change the whole concept, and that's only just one perspective of what it can bring to learning. And a question is shall we write new books about didactic here? Does all the didactic theories, does they fall now where digitizing is coming? And my short answer is no. All the models, all the way we think, all the theory models the teachers have learned when they went to teachers' school, they are still working. So digitizing is just a new opportunity to reconsider how we are doing things. So that's another very good reason for taking this to a strategical level in the schools. We can use digitizing, reconsidering how we are doing things from a very broad perspective. I will narrow this. This is a typical didactical model, but it works whether we talk digitizing or we don't. I see two very interesting game changers, two phenomena coming and actually make a cross pressure on us now. We can't. It's just pressing down on us, and it's really already there. And I will try to talk a little about this. It is things we can't avoid it. It's there, and it will significantly change the way we do learning. The one thing is pervasive computing. Computing IT is climbing into everything. It's getting into our everyday life. I had an experience shortly at Københavns Hovedbanegård, Copenhagen main station. They were taking down the department screens, and it was this old one. And now I need my lifeline. Billedrørsskærm. What's that? Yeah, those old kind of boxes. They had just taken them down. I thought, now they are removing them, and they put up some new LCD ones. So they were still connected, and there was still departure on the screen. And there were some youngsters standing, and it was taken down so you could reach it. And there were some youngsters standing and looking at the next train when it was departing, and then they thumbs up and they pressed on the screen. And that's just how we think. It's if you can touch it, something will happen. There is IT everywhere, and it was more or less. And I stood with a guy on my own age, and we just looked at each other and smiled, and we had the same experience at that moment. But I think we can catch ourselves in doing this every time. It is more like when we dive into the pocket and pick up the phone. This simply changes our way of operating in every sense, that we are so have so easily access to IT power. There are different technologies. One of them are the very cheap and poor man's technology. Here is the QR codes. You probably know them. You can scan it. Everyone can make his own QR code if you haven't tried it already. You don't have to, but if I would claim that everyone here within 5 minutes are able to produce a QR code free and have it ready to go. It's so easy to handle, and it's cheap. It's a way we can connect everything with IT. There is other more sophisticated technologies, for example, RFID tags, where you can put tags into everything, and those things will change so many things. We can't even imagine that. And it's already there. Youngsters today and adults, I think everyone in this room, we are just so keen on having IT everywhere and using it. It actually changed our brains. It has researchers has documented that. We use the brain different now. We don't have to remember so much, so we can relax on that, and then we can use the brain differently. And it has been documented by scientists. It's very amazing, I think. This must significantly change things in the learning environment also. So this is one of the things. It is the pervasive computing. The new consideration is Internet of Things. The Internet comes into everything. You have heard it or read about it. Quite an amazing story. Google has bought a Lifeline again, thermostater. Yes. Because they bring them on the internet now, and in that way, and alarm companies will soon. Google are into that business also. So before we know of it, we live in a Google house. Some of us will. Google are just getting so close to us on the internet, but now also in the physical life. It's a little bit scary, if you ask me. Another trends, another thing which are really pressing and cross-pressing with pervasive computing from my perspective is what we can call peer dynamic. These 3 icons are good examples of what peer dynamic is. Peer dynamic is the dynamic we have all seen in, for example, in Facebook, where crowd comes together and produce amazing things. Linux is another example where control systems of computers are produced by frivilly people who do that totally without having money for it. Wikipedia, a third example. There's so many examples of communities rising from nothing with enthusiastic people just building things together. And some people have considered, are there some connections between all this? You can find the first 1,000 examples of different organisms on the internet, And actually, you will see now it is also reflected to the analog world, where many of these things we have learned on the internet, in the social media, we bring them into the real world also. And some researchers have found some characteristics of the successful organizations here. And what actually bind these phenomena together is equality, is the fact that there is no hierarchy, there is no deciding force in these organisms. Everyone can join, and there's a couple of things more. You get recognized in Facebook. It's very obvious how you do that. That's a recognition. And it seems that people actually are willing to work very hard without getting paid for it. If they just get some recognition, clap on the shoulder, then we will do amazing things actually. And the third thing here is combining these organizations is you're not obligated to anything. You can leave only very small increments. For example, on Facebook, you just have to press this one. Then you have added something. You have put some value into the game. And I think these three things we could learn from them also regarding our learning environments. How could we also in the physical world, out in the schools, bring these dynamics into play? I think that's very interesting. You can see the youngsters, they are so engaged. Where do the young people in Iceland, where do they learn English today, do you think? In school or on the internet? Where do they learn a lot of skills? You can put the same question. Of course, it's a combination, but the really engagement, I'm not sure it's always in school they put it, but it's there they have the most times. But we could learn from this. I think that's a challenge. That's we should consider these things. And these two things, peer dynamics and pervasive computing, they are more or less brought by this digitizing. It's pressing down. And I think if you work within learning, you should consider these things and think, how do I bring this into the classroom or the learning environment? Because maybe we don't have a classroom. Maybe it's not so important, we will still have it. So a question here, now when we talk digitizing, is often in Denmark, where are the teachers? And I am very much agreed in this. The teachers are the main moderator here. If they are on, it's running. If they are not, it's not. So it's very interesting. Where do we have the teachers? And we have made some investigations, and this is in Danish. I'm sorry, but I will translate quickly. It is from, I would say, an average Danish vocational school, and we have asked the teachers, and I have asked, actually we have done this twice, 1 year ago and then now, and before we did it, there was a lot of managers at the school, at least not the IT manager, they were very anxious about it. They didn't like this investigation, but we made it, and they were, after we had done it, they were very happy, because the result were very surprising. They much more progressive and ready for digitizing. They were much more open-minded than their leaders thought they were. And I have made the same set of questions in 5 different organizations, big, huge organizations, and they have came up with the same result every time. And over the year, it has been even more progressive. See, this is a question where we ask, do you find that IT contribute positive to your teaching target? And look what they say. They are very positive about this. And we also ask, do you use IT in the education in a qualitative way? Do you use it for something? We ask if they use it for making differentiation in the education. And many of them does. Have you plans of enhancing or using even more IT? Yes, they have. They want to go even further. And then we ask, because that's a side effect of bringing IT into, if you do it strategically in the school, it's you can have expectation that the teachers will start sharing their materials more than they do today. And we ask the teachers if they have experience by producing digitized materials, and many of them has. But the next question is more interesting. We ask them if they think what they have produced, they can use, they can let other can gain from it. The colleagues can gain from that. And here they ask, yes, I think they can gain from it. Many of them does. And then we ask them if whether the environment have changed in a digitized way over the last year, and they think it has. And then we ask which kind of services they use, which are not interesting for you. And here we have the question, compared to other departments, this is actually showing that they are quite realistic, because it was the first question also I problematized here. Are we behind or are we in front? It's different departments on the school answering, and they're very realistic because it's a normal curve over the middle, so it's perfect actually. They're very realistic about this. Some think they're a little bit ahead, some think they're a little bit behind. And then we ask them how, and I think you could here, in the case you come from a school, you could try to consider what would your colleagues answer to these questions. That's also why I bring this up here. And how do you find that the school's IT equipment are working in general? Try to consider that. What would your teachers answer to this question? How is the Wi-Fi? Is computers working and all that? And this is actually very surprising that they answer so positive on that question. And then another thing you should consider: can you have help to IT didactically thoughts? Is there any help function, support function in the school helping you on that matter? And it's quite a fine answer. I think it's satisfying. They find that they can find some help among their colleagues or from the IT department or where they get it from. So that's, I think the conclusion here is the teachers in Denmark, maybe it's the teachers in this school in Denmark are ready, you can say. I would take that conclusion. But since I have 5 other similar investigations showing the same result, I can broaden it a little bit out from just that school. When you start doing this, asking questions like this, and make this review once a year, then you have also put digitizing on the strategical agenda. So that's the most important thing, I think, about doing investigations like this. It's very, very fine process in a school to prepare these questions. What would we like to know more about regarding digitizing? then you put the questions. Then you are, if you don't have a strategical plan for digitizing, then you have put yourself on the track by doing this. So I can, you can considering doing the same. So, general in the vocational schools in Denmark, which I know quite well, I will say digitizing has been put on the strategical agenda. There's not a school director in Denmark who can avoid this. They have to consider how to bring it strategical into the school, and they are doing that now. And that's actually really a new thing. It has come within the last year, a breakthrough on this, I would say. Maybe this is a fresh conclusion. I think it is. It might be, but I will dare to take it. Also because I want this to happen. So I think it's so nice to come with a positive announcement here, and I do that in Denmark every time I can. Everyone get actually very surprised by this because they are used to hear the opposite. So I try to push this as much as possible, and all our investigation shows this. And another thing is digitizing is a great opportunity to rethink how we do things in general. And I don't think that it will ever happen, but should it happen that you then use digitizing to take a overlook down, a helicopter perspective on how you do things, and come up with this decision that we don't need digitizing. We can do a lot of different things in a much more progressive way without digitizing. Then I think it has been the whole process worth anyway, because it can be a mirror. It's a good way to facilitate a rethinking of how things are done. So what are we doing at my company to except from being there and helping and trying to support and being in their projects at the schools? Regarding our own content, we think of different perspectives also. When you think of how to digitize your content, you should consider these things. Are you in for a radical change, or are you just copy things into some digital? Are you just putting things from the paper to the screen without any significant changes? It can be an okay first step just to do that, just to bring the paper into PDF, because you gain immediately from the way to distribute things, and you can start sharing with colleagues and all that. That's very good. So you are very welcome to start that. It's a good idea, but you should consider could we have higher ambitions than this? Could we make really changes? And that's where concepts like Khan's Academy comes in play. It's really a game changer, the idea of Khan's Academy. Flipped learning, where you probably have heard of it, I guess. It's a very powerful movement right now, and I would call it a movement. And to a few considerations about flipped learning is I have found that many things that this flipped learning, it's either or. We have to change it all, and it shall all be flipped learning from the Monday morning to Friday afternoon, and then in the afternoon they can see movies at home, and all the lectures have been casted and brought to the students. But I think you should take another perspective on that. Bring flipped learning in small doses. Take it in 2 hours to start with. Every Monday, try it out, see what it can bring to you before you turn the whole school that way. When we look at digital learning materials, you can categorize it. This is a used categorizing we use in Denmark. It's a ministry. It's on the Danish emu.dk, which is a national service. They use this way to look at digitized content, because you have to investigate whether to buy or to use an object on its own premises. And there is a big change in whether you buy a portal which brings all the materials to a subject or to a whole school year or something like that, or if you buy just a single course. It can be very thin sliced or a little longer. You should consider what is it you buy here. These courses should be considered with a very didactic perspective. Are they well didactized, or is it just a lot of things stuck together? In the portals, maybe you will see a lot of learning resources where the teachers must didactize it himself. We are more or less all over this field. We have a huge portal where we bring more or less all our content to the schools. They have a license, and then they have access to all our books, movies, PowerPoints, a lot of things, and they can stick things together in packages and deliver it to their students. So here the teacher are really in control of the didactic. Our newest concept is our e-book. What is the time, Heider? E-book. E-book? No, time. How long time? Margit, do I have the time? Do I still have 40 minutes? 10 minutes, okay. We are running, yeah. I will show you shortly what this is. With our e-book, we have raised the ambition. With this concept, we wanted to challenge how we can didactize our content. So this is very much didactized. We have connected with learning material investigators, researchers in Denmark. There is an organization called Læremiddel.dk, Learning Materials, which are very interesting to cooperate with. And we have built some principles for these solutions. This is our murbog. And in general, there is two main concepts built into this iBook. The one is the way the progression is. There is from each what in the old days would be a chapter. In an iBook, it's a theme. Each theme are built up the same way. So when the student have been through the first chapter, the things will repeat all the way through in a progression where we start asking, what do you know about this on beforehand? What is your pre-knowledge within this subject to activate the brain and bring some pictures? And then the next thing happens is now you learn something. It's by text. There can be movies. There can be some photo series showing some processes. There can be a lot of interactive models where you can take off the roof, see how the construction are down under, turn it around, and 2D, 3D models and stuff like that. After you have learned something, now you should have some new competences. The next progression level is you have to perspectivate this learning. So now you will have some tasks where you probably must work together with some others and bring knowledge to life. Bring your new knowledge, and then every chapter end up with some tests. You have some simple tests, some questions to see if you have learned something, and then it repeat in the next theme. That's one thing. Another concept we have built it in is it's a principle for reading. We help now I just jump in. Oh, I'm being switched off here. So, I'm there again. I just jump in some place here. You can see actually here is one of these, what do we already know about, in this case, opmuring. There is, like here, word explanations helping weak readers. And also, there is a way of navigate around here if you're not that good in reading, which many vocational students not are in Denmark. We have a very huge problem there. Then we help students navigate by icons. And maybe a student remember somewhere in the book where there was a picture. So to find that place in the book, we help by picking all the pictures here, and then he can say, oh, it was here it was. And then go to that page, or that place, because talking about pages here is a paradox, actually. So that's, 5 minutes, okay. So that's one of our solutions here. Another thing we work with in all our digital concepts, and we have several others. We also do native apps. We always have a principle that we want to connect with the teacher. The teacher should be able to do something with the content. In this case, in the iBook, the teachers can do their own editions of the books, and they can put in some content. They can add content and comments, questions, and stuff like that. They do it here. Now I am actually logged on as a teacher here, and pressing here, I will now get access to my editions of this book. This one is Thomas Moore edition, and I can, if I click here, edit it further on. I won't show you that because time is short, but I can put in content where I want, so it's combined with the content coming from the publishing company. So this is when we talk, now I jump back to the track I was on just before. I showed you just one example of how we are dealing with this. Now I'm jumping back to the strategical track. What is this all about? It is, if you take your strategical glasses on, it is like every other strategical agendas you want to put into your organization. You should just take your strategical handbook, go to page 1 and do what you normally do when you want to change something in your organization. And you should really do that. And it's not that hard. Everyone who runs a school have tried this before. And it's about capacity building. You have to consider what capacities do we need now if we want these changes to happen. And we have worked on that issue with several schools. And we have found that it's obvious to start doing a critical review, and then you must come to a conclusion. Can we do this just with some adjustment, or do we need really radical changes here? And then you have the picture which you can take to your board or whoever, and to the teachers. You can maybe draw the burning platform to make the changes from. We need a change here, and you can call the organization, make that call to the organization. How to walk this path? There is one single modifier here, and it must be anchored strategical. I have seen this so many times. You will reach a certain level at schools if it's not in the strategical person's mind, this agenda, then you will reach the level where all the pioneers, if you have 30 teachers, there will be 3-4 pioneers. They're running in front of all the others, and there's nothing really happen. There's no connection between the pioneers and the rest of the collegium. And you have to build that bridge strategically. And an example we have used several times is a balanced scorecard, bringing that into the game here, where you have different process. And I don't have the time to tell about a scoreboard, but it's more or less also just it's a tool from the strategical toolbox you need to take up to bring into the game if you want these changes to happen. It will give you a framework to work out from. We have when you have your strategic plan ready, we have some experiences from how to get things happen afterwards out there. And in general, we have had success when we are on the ground floor with the teachers and working from their practical experiences. So it shall be participatory way to do this. You have to take people from where they are, otherwise you will have resistance, as in every other change process. And then if you can think of some kind of facilitating the whole process into a kind of narrative way, we have had success by working with a dogma group who they worked between a lot of other things we did with them. They all the time had focus on writing some dogmas of what is good way to digitize the education. And actually there came 5 dogmas out of it, and they were very proud. There were 30 people, ordinary teachers who worked with this and made a lot of experiences, learned from each other, and tried to bring the best from digitizing and combined with what were the resources. That combination, what would be realistic. And I will end this with a very interesting dogma someone came up with. If you enter a typical Danish classroom and you take the students from behind, if I stood down there and you are sitting all of you here with your screens, what will you see if you stand down there and look up here? Any ideas? Lot of Facebook and all that. So and that's quite demotivating for a teacher to see that. But luckily he stands here so he don't see it. But sometimes you come by and you see your colleagues and what's happening in there. Maybe one day you think, would it look the same if I were the one standing up here? And yes, it would. Unless you consider this situation. Some researchers had done a lot of research, studying what happened in the classroom, and what they came to was a conclusion that teachers typically had two strategical ways to handle this situation. Either they forbid the use of IT, if they could, they switched off the Wi-Fi or asked students to close their PCs, put the phones in their pocket and all that. A forbidding way to do it. Another way was regard as nothing has happened, as the indifference. So the dogma came out of this was you are not allowed to prohibit the use of IT, and you are not allowed to be indifferent regarding this. You have to engage you into the situation, and you cannot forbid use of IT. That was one of the dogmas, and I think it's a very interesting dogma you can bring with you home. Say to your teachers, you have to consider how to bring these things into the learning environment to start with. So that was the end of my speak here for you today. I don't know if someone have a question. You are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much for an interesting lecture on this. I was just wondering, you said that you have been for 12 years in the digitizing business, and I'm sure you have seen many evolutions of technology, where you had kind of thought you had everything made, and then found out you had to restart and do it over and over and over. Where do you think we are in the evolution of technology? Are we ready? Is it easy enough for normal schools to take it on and so forth and so on? I just want to hear your view on that.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. Thank you. Yes, I think what has really happened the last couple of years is that the usability has been so much improved that many things just are common knowledge at least by the students, and easily accessible also for the teachers. And it has happened over the last 2, 3, 4 years, going from where you needed to be expert to now you can just do it. Some things like YouTube and Facebook have actually set the standards of how usability must be when you bring new software solutions to life. So I think it's a huge jump. And then I think all this peer dynamics are the most interesting also. It drives so much. So.
Flere spurningar? Thank you, Billy.
Yeah, you're welcome.